What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another New World guide. In this guide, I want to show you my Garden of Genesis DPS build that does insane damage, and I built this on a budget. I didn't spend much gold to get this to where it is today. Now, this does insane DPS. It could definitely do more, but right now this is very viable. I can use it all the way from regular all the way to M10s, and I'm going to show you exactly what it is. Now, this is definitely not best in slot, far from it. It's very expensive to get best in slot sort of stuff. However, this works extremely well. First of all, we will cover the weapons and we'll cover the rest of the gear. So I run spear and hatchet, and I'll tell you why in a second. So the spear is my secondary weapon. I use this to apply my debuffs. We'll talk about those in a minute. This has Keen, Vicious. This is actually one that drops in the Garden of Genesis as far as I'm aware. So you can get this for completely free. Once again, not best in slot. And you also don't need to have Angry Earth Bane on this, as it's just a secondary weapon to apply your debuffs. We then have the hatchet. This is also a free drop from the Garden of Genesis. So essentially I've spent no gold on weapons for this build. This is 31 strength because I've upgraded it. Angry Earth Bane, Refreshing Ward doesn't really do much, and then Keenly Jagged. Now this is definitely far from best in slot. You kind of want to have Keenly Empowered and things like that, but it's still very, very good. And I have an Opal on there for dodging, for when I have no stamina, and I get that 15% damage buff. Now let's get into the gear, and I'll help you understand why I have chosen this gear. First of all, let's talk about the hat. Now, this I purchased for around about 500, maybe 600 on the marketplace. Now, keep in mind, you're not going to be able to buy all of your gear because it really just depends on your server and what's selling. You might have to craft some. However, this has the Sundering Javelin. Javelin inflicts rend, reducing target's damage absorption by 19% for 10 seconds. And also the normal Angry Bane. Now the reason I have this on is because this is my secondary weapon. When I'm running up to an enemy or a boss or something in there, I can throw my javelin and it applies rend to the enemy, and then it reduces its damage absorption. This is very critical. You want to have something like this. The next one, we have strength. Now keep in mind, I have like a medium hat, light chest. I really should have a medium chest and a light hat. I've kind of mixed it up a little bit, but it doesn't really matter too much. I have no issue with it. Fortify and Perforate. Gain a stack of Fortify, increasing damage absorption by 9.5% for 6 seconds per hit. So what this means is when we do this one, every hit on the enemy gives us a stack, okay? So what that means is we get a stack of damage absorption. Very good for when you're going into bosses or bosses are aggroing on you and stuff like that. And also the Angry Earth Ward. On this one, we have the main perk. We have Refreshing Torrent. Okay, so what that means is when I do this one here, ability here, what this means is that every hit on Raging Torrent reduces all hatchet cooldowns by 4.8%. So usually my rotation is going to be my Berserk, and then Q, and then this one. Okay, pretty important. The next one, this is... Now this is really something I got this for like 1,000 gold. This wasn't much. I don't know why it was quite cheap actually. Now this has freedom, which is what I wanted. I would like to have another freedom and stack it, but I don't. The reason is because I get stunned in the Genesis quite a bit because I'm always in there just smashing up DPS, right? So this freedom does help me quite a bit, and it also has Angry Ward. Now the boots has the Skewer perk. Skewer hits apply weaken, reducing target's damage by 24%. Now this would be much better on a weapon, but it doesn't really matter too much, to be honest. It means that this one here applies weaken, okay? So what I do is before I go into a boss or something, I do my throw, my javelin and all that sort of stuff, and I get all my debuffs on, and then I change to my hatchet. And then when my debuffs are cooled down or gone on the enemy with the spear, I change back. It's really important, like, you don't need legendary stuff. It's the most important thing when you're doing these dungeon runs is to have really good perk gear. This is the most important, right? This was extremely cheap to build. I don't have best in slot, but I consistently do way better damage than a lot of people that I run with who have best in slot. Now, to be fair, these weapons, I really want to have better weapons, okay? I do want to have better weapons. These are not the best, but they're free. They drop in the Garden of Genesis regularly, all the time. Now, the next thing is the now the gems I'm running right now are just onyxes because I'm just doing regular gen runs at the moment. Obviously, on the mutations, you change them out as they come. And then I've got some ones down here, the diamonds or whatever they are down here. Now, let's start with the free ones that I got first. This one here is pretty much best in slot for me. You gain 0.49% health per second, potion cooldowns, and max cooldowns, right? 26% strength. This drops, as far as I'm aware, in the Genesis as well, so you can get this for free. This one here, best in slot, drops in the new Brimstones. I have a video on that. Now, this has the reason why I wanted this is you have the Keen Awareness. This also stacks with Keen. I don't know if I have Keen on any. Yeah, so it also stacks with Keen, so you get some pretty big critical chances there. But the most important one with this is you get that 4.9% slash damage because your hatchet is a slash damage weapon. This one here is definitely far from best in slot. I do want to change this out to a strength ring, a strength amulet. However, it has the 9.4% health, which is what I wanted, and then it has the the cooldown reduction for dodge animation. Not really that important. There's much better amulets that I should be trying to get, but right now I wanted the health is increased by 9.4% because this helps with a DPS build. And then I'm just running this rune here, which is a pretty basic one that I got from a dungeon. Now I can do Genesis by myself with this build. It can be a struggle, but it is done. Now you might notice that I have very low health. There is a reason for this, okay? It's to do with my abilities. So first of all, to run this in the Genesis, you're going to want to go to your town where you have a house, okay? And you're going to want to go to the improvement tab, and down here where it says the health one, okay? The Hail of Hati. You want to make sure you have this town buff, okay? This is nearly there. This is so important, okay? So you want to make sure you have the 10% town buff. We are going to have to put more points into Constitution. When you are running the Garden of Genesis regular, we'll just talk about regular right now. You want to make sure that your health is over. Your health is over 8,100, more like 8,200. So what I do is I run foods. I will pop one right now because I've got heaps of them. So this brings me up to now. This brings me now up to 38 Constitution, 7,400. Now, if I had that 10% town buff, I would be at around about 8,100, which is plenty for me to run, so I can pop more into these. Now, I have 1,368 damage on this, which is pretty high. Ideally, I want to get my dexterity to 200 and my strength at 300, but at the moment, I'm running a 304 strength, a 162 dexterity, no constitution. I run constitution foods, and I have a health when I go into the dungeons of over 8,100. Okay, 8,100 to 8,200. You get over that with the extra 10% buff. Or you can, so this food does 33 constitution, or you can run this one that does 40 as well to even get you a little bit higher. Now, what's important as well is you will need some buffs, okay, to get high damage. The weak honing stones are extremely cheap to make and give you a 4% damage increase. The powerful honing stones give you a 7%. It's not really worth using these unless you're doing like mutations. And then you can also use your infused angry earth coatings to give you a damage buff as well. Now with this, you should be able to absolutely mount monsters in the Garden of Genesis. Alright, so obviously we can't get into the lobby right now for the Genesis run. I don't have my friends online that can help me get in. So, because usually they come in and then leave. So let me show you how how all the debuffs work if you're not really familiar with it. So if I throw this, I apply the rend to the enemy. Now, if we go in and do this, we also apply other debuffs you can see above the enemy's head. Okay? And if we can finish him off with the hatchet if we want to. Now if we go to this one, we do the other buff. And you see the buff is above his head times 3. So I think he's weaker now. I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me check what that one was. That one is the I think it's this one. Yeah, so gain a stack of increasing per hit. Yeah, so we gain a stack. Actually, yeah, let me show you that one again. You'll see at the bottom of my screen that we gain a stack as well, right? So we gain a stack, 6-second stack down in the bottom of the screen now. You see the little shield come up. So now I'll show you the abilities, okay, of the weapons as well. But yeah. If you want to be successful in these dungeons and you want to get into M10s and all that sort of stuff, you have to know how to use a secondary weapon to add the debuffs. It's really important, otherwise people just won't want to roll with you. Okay, so now let's go to the weapons, weapon mastery. We'll do the spear first. So this is the setup that I have. You can go through it and have a look on your screen. Really important. But as you see, every single one has a different type of debuff. Okay, so this one applies bleed. This one here applies rend. This one here applies nothing, but because we had that perk, we do apply something. Okay, and now let's have a look at the hatchet. Where's the hatchet? This is what I have on the hatchet. Okay. The only one that applies something here is the rendering throw. So throw the hatchet up to 25 meters, dealing 110% weapon damage, and apply rend. Okay. Now, some would argue that, okay, I could use this instead of the other rend on the javelin, which is completely true. But sometimes when I'm in the heat of the battle and I don't want to change, I just deal with this, right? But you could actually do that if you wanted to, and you could not use this perk here if you didn't want to actually do that. But what I like to do is I like to apply the rend with the spear, and then get in and do my abilities with the hatchet. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. That is my Garden of Genesis loadout. If you have any questions about it, you can ask me below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.